On this day in history, we remember the remarkable individuals who shaped our world. Welcome to Who Died Today in History, where we honor their legacies. From artists to leaders, their impact lives on. If you find their stories meaningful, like, subscribe, and hit the bell to stay connected. Ivana Trump, the Czech-American businesswoman, former model, and ex-wife of Donald Trump, died on July 14, 2022, at the age of 73. Her death was ruled accidental, caused by blunt impact injuries to her torso following a fall down the stairs in her Manhattan townhouse. The sudden and tragic nature of her passing shocked the public, not only because of its unexpectedness, but also because it marked the end of a woman who had been an enduring figure in the spotlight for decades. Ivana rose to prominence in the 1980s, an era of excess, ambition, and media spectacle. Alongside Donald Trump, she became a symbol of the decade's appetite for luxury and high-profile business ventures. She wasn't just a spouse, she was an executive at the Trump Organization, playing key roles in real estate developments like the Plaza Hotel and Trump Tower. Her public persona combined glamour with sharp intellect, embodying the increasing visibility and influence of women in corporate America. Her death, occurring during a moment when her former husband was a central political figure and polarizing presence in American life, sparked reflection on her unique role in shaping the Trump brand long before politics. Though her fame had waned in recent years, her passing reignited media interest in her legacy, casting new light on her entrepreneurial spirit, resilience, and personal reinvention after a high-profile divorce. The immediate reaction to her death was a mix of mourning and retrospection. Public figures expressed condolences, and her children, including Ivanka and Donald Jr., paid heartfelt tributes that highlighted her strength, elegance, and drive. Her funeral in New York was a private yet highly publicized event, drawing attention to her enduring cultural imprint. Ivana Trump's story reflects the complex interplay between personal legacy and public image. Her life and death underscore how fame, particularly for women in the public eye, is often interwoven with reinvention and resilience. In remembering her, we are reminded that mortality does not erase influence, it reshapes it. Through biographies, media retrospectives, and the continued visibility of her family, Ivana is immortalized not only for her association with a famous name, but for the power she carved out for herself within it. Her death, like many before hers, prompts reflection on how society remembers those who helped define their era, not just for what they were, but for what they represented. Billy the Kid, one of the most infamous outlaws of the American Old West, met a violent end on July 14, 1881. Born Henry McCarty and also known as William H. Bonney, he was shot and killed by Sheriff Pat Garrett in Fort Sumner, New Mexico, at the age of 21. His death occurred under the cover of night, a sudden and controversial ambush that cemented his place in Western legend. Though he was a fugitive with a growing list of killings, including lawmen and rivals, his youth, charisma, and rebellious spirit captured the imagination of a nation fascinated with the myth of the frontier. The context of Billy the Kid's death reflects the tumultuous law and order challenges of post-Civil War America, particularly in the expanding Western territories. The Lincoln County War, a violent conflict between rival business factions in New Mexico, had thrust Billy into notoriety. He became both a symbol of lawlessness and a folk hero, depending on who was telling the story. His death at the hands of Garrett, once a friend, was viewed by some as a necessary end to a violent chapter and by others as a betrayal or even an execution without trial. Immediately following his death, sensational newspaper accounts spread across the country, mixing fact and fiction. Rather than ending his legend, his violent demise magnified it. Tales of his escape artistry, quick draw, and alleged honor among thieves flourished. Over time, Billy the Kid became a cultural icon, portrayed in novels, films, ballads, and even debated in historical documentaries. His brief life became a canvas upon which Americans painted their fears, fantasies, and values about justice, rebellion, and freedom. His story continues to challenge the line between outlaw and hero, a theme deeply embedded in the American psyche. Billy's myth endures because he embodied the contradictions of his time. A youth caught between civilization and chaos, law and anarchy. His grave in Fort Sumner remains a pilgrimage site, marked by a simple headstone often enclosed by steel bars to prevent theft, a symbolic testament to the persistent grip his memory holds. Billy the Kid's death underscores how legends are born not just from how someone lived, but how they died. We immortalize such figures not merely through the historical record, but through the stories we choose to retell. Stories that reveal as much about us as they do about the ones we remember. Nick Benedict, a familiar face to soap opera fans, passed away on July 14, 2023, at the age of 77. His death was attributed to complications following emergency spinal cord surgery. After the procedure, Benedict was left paralyzed from the neck down, and his condition rapidly deteriorated. He died just days later in hospice care, surrounded by loved ones. While his death was natural in medical terms, it was profoundly shaped by the vulnerabilities of aging and the unpredictable nature of health, a quiet contrast to the often dramatic worlds he portrayed on screen. Benedict's passing reflects broader challenges faced by aging performers in an industry that often emphasizes youth and rapid production over long-term care or recognition. While he had once been a household name through roles such as Philip Brent on All My Children and Curtis Reed on Days of Our Lives, his retreat from the spotlight in later years mirrored the experiences of many actors whose legacies become distant memories rather than celebrated milestones. His final years, lived away from the public eye and spent in relative obscurity in Arizona, highlight the fragility of fame and the fleeting nature of celebrity in modern American culture. The immediate consequences of his passing were mostly felt in the tight-knit soap opera community. Fellow actors and fans shared tributes online, remembering his charisma and screen presence. While his death did not shift historical trajectories or spark widespread media frenzy, it quietly reignited appreciation for the enduring impact of daytime television, an often overlooked but deeply influential part of American entertainment history. Benedict's death, like that of many performers whose fame once burned brightly, invites reflection on how we remember those who contribute to popular culture in subtle but meaningful ways. His passing didn't amplify a legend, but it underscored the emotional bond viewers form with characters and the people who bring them to life. The absence of national headlines didn't diminish the personal grief of fans or the value of his work. In remembering figures like Nick Benedict, we see how memory is shaped not only by fame, but by connection. Art and media preserve more than performances. They encapsulate eras, sentiments, and identities. Through reruns, tributes, and fan recollections, Benedict's legacy continues, reminding us that every actor, whether spotlighted or sidelined, contributes to the broader story of cultural memory. Sicily Saunders, a British nurse, physician, and writer, died of cancer on July 14, 2005, at the age of 87. Her passing was peaceful, taking place at St. Christopher's Hospice in London, the very institution she founded in 1967, which became the world's first modern hospice. Her death, from the very illness she dedicated her life to confronting with compassion and dignity, reflected the values of her era, a growing recognition of the need for humane end-of-life care, patient autonomy, and the holistic treatment of pain and suffering. Unlike the tragic or violent deaths that often mark historic shifts, Saunders' passing was marked by serenity and symbolic closure. It served as a testament to the movement she spearheaded, demonstrating the profound power of dying with dignity. In the mid-20th century, medical culture often prioritized curative treatment above all else, frequently at the expense of emotional and spiritual well-being. Saunders challenged that ethos by introducing palliative care as an essential medical specialty. Her work reframed death not as a failure of medicine, but as a natural, meaningful phase of life that deserved attention, care, and respect. The immediate consequences of her death were most deeply felt within the medical, nursing, and hospice communities, where tributes poured in from around the globe. Her influence had already taken root, with her philosophy integrated into healthcare systems in many countries. However, her death also brought renewed public attention to the importance of end-of-life care and reignited conversations around death, dying, and how societies treat their most vulnerable in their final days. While Saunders may not have been a household name in popular culture, her legacy has arguably shaped more lives than many more visible figures. Her pioneering work was immortalized through institutions bearing her name, scholarly literature, and continued medical practice. The World Health Organization and countless global health agencies now uphold her principles as standard care. Sicily Saunders' death invites us to reflect not just on mortality, but on how we choose to approach it, as a source of fear or an opportunity for grace. Through her work and the way she lived and died, she left a legacy that continues to empower the dying and those who care for them. In art, scholarship, and medicine, her vision of compassion endures, reminding us that how we treat the dying reveals much about the heart of our civilization. Meredith McCrae, beloved actress and singer best known for her roles on Petticoat Junction and My Three Sons, passed away on July 14, 2000 at the age of 56. Her death was due to complications from brain cancer, a diagnosis she had courageously battled for over a year. McCrae's passing, though quiet compared to the public spectacle surrounding many other celebrity deaths, echoed the quiet strength and resilience that marked much of her career and personal life. In the latter half of the 20th century, television became a dominant force in shaping American family ideals. Meredith McCrae often portrayed wholesome, relatable characters who reinforced the values of optimism, kindness, and decency. Her on-screen presence coincided with a time when American culture was shifting, grappling with changing gender roles, civil rights movements, and the rising influence of media. Though her roles were largely situated within the framework of traditional family life, off-screen McCrae was deeply engaged in advocating for women's empowerment, health awareness, and social causes. Her death, from a relatively rare and aggressive form of cancer, shed light on the challenges of brain disease diagnoses, especially among women. She had initially been misdiagnosed with menopause-related symptoms, a reflection of broader systemic issues in how women's health was understood and treated, a topic that gained more attention in the years following her death. Thus, her passing became a catalyst for more conversations around the importance of accurate diagnoses and increased research for brain cancer. While Meredith McCrae's death did not drastically alter the course of history, it did serve to amplify her quiet legacy. Fans and colleagues remembered her not only for her talent, but for her grace, humor, and commitment to using her platform for good. Her work in public broadcasting and talk shows continued to influence discussions on family, health, and social responsibility. Her legacy is preserved through reruns of her iconic shows, documentaries, and tributes that highlight her contributions to television and advocacy. In remembering McCrae, we are reminded of how fame does not always equate to noise, and that influence, especially in media, can be gentle, enduring, and deeply human. Her story underscores humanity's enduring need to find meaning in both life and death, and how we honor the everyday heroes who help shape cultural memory with quiet dignity. Sarah Gibson, though not a household name on the global stage, represents the countless individuals whose lives and legacies are shaped by quieter contributions to society, those who may not leave behind blockbuster films or landmark political legacies, but whose work and character resonate deeply within their communities. Information about Sarah Gibson's life and death remains limited in public record, and in the absence of a widely recognized public profile, one must reflect more broadly on the symbolic power of lives like hers in shaping history in less visible ways. If we take Sarah Gibson to represent educators, activists, or artists whose impact was deeply felt in local or academic settings, her passing, likely by natural causes given the lack of public controversy, illustrates a key truth of her era: that not all legacies are built in front of cameras or on the battlefield. Many individuals like Gibson leave indelible marks through education, literature, quiet resistance, or social work, fields that have historically been undervalued, especially when led by women or marginalized voices. The value of such a life and death lies not in immediate political consequences or national mourning, but in the ripples left behind: inspired students, preserved culture, or strengthened community bonds. These are legacies not etched into statues, but carried in the lives of others. In eras where celebrity often overshadows substance, figures like Gibson remind us of the power of consistency, kindness, and quiet conviction. Their deaths may not shift the course of nations, but they often serve as pivotal personal losses within the communities they nurtured. The grief is local but profound, and sometimes it inspires others to take up their mantle. This pattern mirrors humanity's timeless struggle with mortality. We fear being forgotten, but we are remembered in ways that transcend headlines. We immortalize such lives not through bronze or marble, but through memory. Oral histories, classroom stories, and personal tributes. Art and literature, too, increasingly reflect these unsung heroes, especially in modern memoirs, biopics, or documentaries aimed at restoring balance to historical memory. In remembering figures like Sarah Gibson, we broaden our understanding of legacy. We are reminded that greatness is not always accompanied by spectacle. Instead, it often resides in ordinary lives lived with extraordinary dedication. Proof that memory, like history, is shaped not only by those who ruled empires, but by those who quietly shaped minds and hearts.